Picture the scene. Families gathered for worship on what should have been an ordinary Sunday morning in Ayetoro-Kiri, a community nestled in the Kababunu local government area of Kogi State. The attack on the area led to the death of 3 persons and the abduction of about 30 others, turning their sacred moment into a nightmare that continues to haunt this region of Nigeria. The echoes of this tragedy ripple far beyond this single incident, painting a disturbing portrait of communities under siege across Kogi State, where the once bubbling community completely deserted, with houses abandoned and streets empty, now a ghost town. The humanitarian crisis unfolding in Kogi State represents more than just statistics. It's a tale of communities torn apart, families separated, and dreams shattered. Scores of residents were abducted by bandits, and even painful ransom payments raised through communal contributions. Only 7 victims were released. 3 of the released victims died on arrival, while 4 others are currently battling for their lives in critical condition at medical facilities. About 30 others are still held in the kidnappers' den. These aren't just numbers, but mothers, fathers, children, and neighbors whose absence leaves gaping wounds in the fabric of these communities. The systematic nature of these attacks reveals a calculated campaign of terror. Hundreds of residents of Okunran village in Yagba West local government area of Kogi State have deserted their homes following persistent attacks by armed bandits. The exodus from Okunran tells a story repeated across multiple communities where the simple act of living peacefully has become an impossible luxury. "We are tired of paying ransom and contributing money for bandits," cried one fleeing resident, capturing the exhaustion of a population pushed beyond its limits. If you are finding this coverage important, hit that like button to help more people learn about this crisis. The more awareness we create, the harder it becomes to ignore these suffering communities. What makes this situation particularly heartbreaking is the apparent disconnect between the people's cries for help and the official response. Rather than protect vulnerable communities or pursue the perpetrators, the Kogi State government, acting through the chairman of Kababunu local government, allegedly responded by tear-gassing and arresting peaceful protesters who were merely demanding safety, justice, and rescue of their loved ones. It is both ironic and unacceptable that a government entrusted with the protection of lives and property would instead criminalize peaceful protest while bandits roam freely, killing, kidnapping, and terrorizing law-abiding citizens. The ripple effects extend beyond individual tragedies. All socioeconomic activities have come to an abrupt end in the majority of settlements sharing boundary with some communities under attacks by bandits. Public and private schools have been forced to shut down as inhabitants have relocated their wards or family to relatively safe areas either in the state or to other states. Education halted, businesses abandoned, futures uncertain, the social fabric of entire regions is unraveling. The geography of Kogi State, strategically positioned as a gateway between Nigeria's north and south, has become both blessing and curse. Suspected bandits have infiltrated the state from neighboring states of Niger and Kwara, and sometimes in connivance with some locals, to terrorize communities, kidnap people within communities and along the roads. The porous borders that once facilitated commerce and cultural exchange now serve as pathways for terror. The government's response, while present, appears insufficient to stem the tide. 4 of the assailants were neutralized by local hunters during a fierce gun battle. Troops of the 12th Brigade of the Nigerian Army and personnel of the Kogi State Police Command have since been deployed to the community. Yet, despite these efforts, communities continue to empty and the bandits remain emboldened. Consider subscribing to stay updated on this developing situation. Your engagement helps ensure these stories aren't forgotten. The human cost extends beyond immediate casualties. On January 1, 2026, 7 abductees were released after prolonged negotiations and the payment of 15 million naira. Negotiations continued, resulting in the release of 3 more victims on January 12, 2026, and an additional 14 on January 13, 2026. With the latest development, a total of 24 worshippers have regained their freedom, while 13 others remain in captivity. Each ransom paid drains resources from already impoverished communities, creating a vicious cycle where victims become financially devastated even after surviving their ordeal. The pattern emerging across Kogi State reveals a security crisis of staggering proportions. Communities such as Egbe, Ogbe, Ogga, Omi, Isanlu-Esa, Okoloke, and Okunran have remained vulnerable to bandit attacks consistently. The list reads like a roll call of abandonment, each name representing countless individual tragedies and a collective failure to protect citizens. Our people are tired of burying loved ones, tired of selling properties and contributing scarce resources to pay ransom, and tired of living under perpetual fear while those in authority remain indifferent. This exhaustion permeates every aspect of life in affected areas. Markets that once buzzed with activity now stand silent. Farms that fed families lie abandoned. Churches and mosques that provided spiritual comfort have become targets. The strategic importance of addressing this crisis cannot be overstated. There has been a surge in kidnappings for ransom, particularly along major transportation routes such as the Kaba-Obajana-Lokoja corridor, the Abuja-Lokoja expressway, remote areas of Yagba East, Yagba West, Ijumu, Okene, and Kogi Kotonkafe. These incidents involve highway ambushes, abduction of commuters, invasion of communities, and targeted attacks on farmers and traders. This has increased fear among residents and disrupted local economic activities. The transformation of vibrant communities into ghost towns represents more than physical abandonment. It's the death of hope, the erosion of social bonds built over generations, and the loss of cultural heritage that may never be recovered. When families flee, they leave behind not just houses but histories, not just property but memories embedded in every street corner and gathering place. As Nigeria grapples with security challenges across multiple fronts, the situation in Kogi State demands urgent attention. The state's position as a crucial link between North and South means instability here affects the entire nation. Trade routes disrupted, agricultural production halted, and population displacement create ripple effects felt far beyond state borders. The courage of those who remain deserves recognition. Local hunters who confront heavily armed bandits, community leaders who negotiate for their neighbors' freedom, and ordinary citizens who continue hoping for better days, these are the unsung heroes of this crisis. Their resilience in the face of overwhelming odds speaks to the strength of the human spirit, even as it highlights the urgency of providing them with adequate support. The path forward requires more than military deployment. It demands a comprehensive strategy addressing root causes, strengthening community policing, improving intelligence gathering, and most importantly, rebuilding trust between government and citizens. The communities of Kogi State aren't asking for miracles. They are asking for the basic right to live without fear, to worship without wondering if they will return home, to farm without risking abduction. As empty houses multiply and silent streets stretch longer, the question remains, how many more communities must become ghost towns before decisive action replaces rhetoric? The people of Kogi State have paid too high a price already. Their abandoned homes stand as monuments to a security failure that demands immediate remedy. The time for half measures has passed. These communities need comprehensive, sustained intervention to reclaim their lives and rebuild their futures.